Welcome, everyone, to this explainer. I am absolutely thrilled to have you here today. We are going to dive deep, literally, into the forensic engineering of ancient underwater cities. We're looking at staggering archaeological discoveries that challenge pretty much everything we thought we knew about the timeline of human history. Get ready, because the sheer scale and sophistication of what lies at the bottom of the ocean is absolutely going to blow your mind. Let's get right into it. Okay, let's dive into this. Mainstream history usually charts this really neat linear path, right? We start as nomadic hunter-gatherers, we eventually figure out agriculture, and then we slowly build the first cities in places like Mesopotamia and Egypt. But what if that narrative is just entirely incomplete? What if we are quite literally missing the greatest chapter of our own origin story simply because we've been looking in the wrong places? To really understand the stakes of this deep-sea investigation, you have to wrap your head around this massive number, 27 million. That's 27 million square kilometers of prime habitable land from the Ice Age that is currently completely underwater. That is a staggering chunk of the Earth's surface. We're talking about lush coastal plains where early human populations would have absolutely thrived, now just swallowed up by the ocean. Section 1. Secrets Beneath the Waves, the Sonar Anomalies. So how do you even begin to look for history in 27 million square kilometers of water? Well, our story really kicks off just off the southeastern coast of India. A research vessel using highly sophisticated multi-beam sonar started picking up these striking, non-natural patterns on the ocean floor, hundreds of feet down. To investigate, researchers dropped specialized robotic drones equipped with high-def cameras into the cold, silent darkness. And what they transmitted back was breathtaking. They found unmistakably geometric structures partially buried in centuries of silt. Long, straight walls, perfect right angles, courtyards. These were not natural rock formations, guys. These were deliberate, artificial structures. Section 2. Master Planners of Antiquity, Blueprint of a Lost City. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is that these findings weren't just some random pile of stones. They revealed an incredibly highly organized layout that actually echoes ancient Hindu texts detailing the legendary, opulent city of Dwarka and its divine architect, Vishwakarma. We aren't looking at basic shelters here. This is a masterclass in urban city planning. They had meticulously designed residential quarters, bustling commercial marketplaces to handle heavy maritime trade, completely distinct administrative centers, and grand public spaces. I mean, it's a level of civic organization that implies a massively complex society. And their brilliance, it didn't just stop at zoning. Their geographic game was absolutely flawless. Step 1, they built right at the confluence of the Gamadi River and the Arabian Sea. Step 2, they utilized the natural geography of the peninsula and islands to act as literal moats. And Step 3, they leveraged the river as a crucial freshwater lifeline. It was strategic perfection, seamlessly blending natural geographic defenses against invaders with unparalleled access for sea trade. Section 3. Designing formidable stone defenses, fortresses of the deep. Now we get into the heavy engineering. The sheer scale of the defensive architecture required to protect these coastal metropolises from both human adversaries and the brutal, crushing forces of the ocean itself is mind-boggling. The primary building material? Massive, roughly dressed stone blocks weighing several tons each. But the true genius is in how they were assembled, using precision interlocking joints. By fitting these massive stones together like a giant puzzle without mortar, the defensive walls could physically absorb and distribute the kinetic energy of crashing waves and enemy battering rams without shattering. It's an absolute marvel of structural flexibility and strength. So the crucial point is, this paints a stark contrast to what we've always assumed. We usually picture humans from this deep past as primitive, nomadic hunter-gatherers, using basic temporary shelters and simple stone tools. But the undeniable reality sitting at the bottom of the ocean is advanced stone engineering. We're talking multi-ton quarried blocks, precision interlocking joints, and massive defensive gates regulating access to the city. It completely shatters our preconceived notions. Section 4. State-of-the-art drainage systems and advanced water management. And this brilliantly illustrates their engineering duality. On one hand, you have these formidable multi-ton interlocking stone fortifications for hardcore physical protection. But on the other, state-of-the-art drainage prioritizing environmental health. These ancient planners designed meticulously sloped, street-level runoff channels that used gravity to funnel waste and heavy monsoon waters away from residential zones. By sloping the stonework so precisely, they ensured standing water wouldn't pull up, which effectively prevented flooding and waterborne diseases. It is just a perfect, sophisticated balance of robust security and advanced urban sanitation. But, it wasn't literally all just giant rocks and sewers. Down there in the dark, alongside this massive infrastructure, underwater explorers have unearthed a treasure trove of artifacts. We're talking distinct dark pottery, stone tools for cutting and grinding, beautifully carved columns and steps. These findings prove this wasn't just some grand military outpost. It was a vibrant, economically prosperous hub of cultural exchange that maintained really active connections with other civilizations of its time.
Section 5. Rewriting the human story. Disrupting the timeline.
Let's move to Ta and see how this builds a completely different picture of our past. Mainstream history places the dawn of civilization in Sumer around 3500 BCE and the Indus Valley around 2600 BCE. However, radiocarbon dating of these submerged artifacts pushes them to the second millennium BCE, and their geological context, when sea levels actually rose by over 100 meters, places their origins anywhere between 14,000 and 7,000 years ago. This suggests that complex, highly urbanized societies likely existed millennia before we previously thought possible. The whole concept of a single cradle of civilization? Yeah, it might be completely obsolete. So, you're probably wondering, how does a magnificent, heavily defended city just disappear? Well, the answer lies mostly in subsidence. That's basically the gradual caving in or sinking of an area of land. These legendary places, often described in myths as cities of gold for their immense wealth, didn't just fall to invaders. They were likely swallowed by a devastating 1-2 punch of dramatic post-Ice Age sea level rise and literal geological land subsidence. The ground literally gave way. Which leaves us with this final, incredibly relevant question to ponder. As our modern society faces its own massive challenges, with rising sea levels and a changing climate, what profound survival lessons can we actually learn from these master builders who were swallowed by the deep? The human story is far from a closed book, and our oceans are clearly the final unexplored frontier, holding secrets that could redefine exactly who we are. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. Keep questioning the past, and I'll catch you in the next one.